equipment, new software. All right, now we are live in all places. All right, so welcome to my Facebook people over in our private Facebook group. Welcome to Instagram. We got 3 viewers over there, just getting started. By the way, for those of you on Instagram, you can see my keto shirt. I was just going to say that in just over 3 months, about 3 months time, using keto, so I have dropped now officially over 20 pounds, which is that's insane. It really, really works. I've also not been doing like junk food keto, where you're going nuts on just like the bacon and the fat and just like going full tilt. Generally eating a lot of produce. My wife, joined me in this process too. She's lost over 20 pounds. So she's looking really foxy right now. I gotta say, pretty cool. And, so it's exciting because I'm within I'd say 5-10 pounds of being at my absolute goal weight. So I'm thrilled. So, not going to be too annoying on it, but yeah, I'm kind of becoming a keto evangelist, after this experience. So that's not what I want to talk about today because, my audience are, they're the entrepreneurs that are growing their business. They're growing their brands. They are looking to become thought leaders in their space. And why do you want to become a thought leader? Well, because if you can become a thought leader, if you can become respected, if you get more authority, then people respect you more and people are much more likely to do business with you. Hey, Sally J and Swift Andrea, thank you so much for joining us. And so that's what we do at Up My Influence. So I'm going to give you some really great advice on how to, improve your authority in a little kind of live video today. And so what I want to talk about is kind of presenting your best self at all times. And so imagine that you've worked your whole life and you've finally made it to Broadway. So you've worked in stage as an actor or as an actress, and you've paid your dues and now you've kind of made it onto a really big show. And the show is going well. You're one of the, one of the 10 main characters and you get invited to perform on Good Morning America, The Today Show, Wendy Williams, Ellen, some sort of major national opportunity for, you to show what you do. Now, you might look at this and say, well, we make money with ticket sales. And if we're going to be doing this TV, these people aren't paying us money. Good Morning America is not paying for us to do this. No one's paying us cash to do this. My time is valuable. How dare someone ask me to perform for free? Well, here's the deal. Of course that sounds silly, right? Because Mama Bear Green, welcome. Because that opportunity is going to potentially bring you a ton of visibility. And of course, if you get seen as performing on a national program like that, that's going to be really, really good for your resume, right? So when people see you, and now you can, if you're updating your IMDb or in the case of, my business owner friends here, you as a professional, you as a business owner, you're able to now put that logo on your website, put that, as seen on your LinkedIn profile. By the way, welcome, Inspire, and I assume it's Change. Welcome. So let me ask you a question. So if you were to get that opportunity, would you just kind of phone that in? Because, they're not paying you money directly, right? And so I know as artists, and we work with a lot of artists and creatives, you can't make a living on just doing work for visibility alone. Someone's got to pay you, but, what I find is that creatives, I see a lot of entrepreneurs kind of falling into the same trap, is that they don't do enough to make themselves visible. And I can't tell you how important this is. So podcasters, for example, I've done a lot of work with spoken at a lot of podcasting conferences. We've done full day events for podcasters. And I'll tell you that the number one reason that most podcasters fail is because they spend all their time podcasting. When in fact, you should actually be spending twice as much time growing your podcast business as you do the actual trade of podcasting. So if you're familiar with Michael Gerber, the E-Myth, you'll know that he nails why most businesses fail within a few years. And that's because they spend all their time on the operations of the company. You should not be doing that. You should be focused as the CEO, as the founder of a company, you should be focused on one major job. And that job is to grow that company. So, what does that have to do with always making sure that your brand looks amazing? Okay, so Tony Robbins, and I've had the opportunity to I've been invited by the Tony Robbins organization to speak to his audience. We did that a couple of months ago, and it was a huge honor. And one thing that Tony Robbins will talk about is how important it is to always present your best self, right? So, for example, let's say you love Elton John and you get to go to an Elton John concert. And I know Elton John recently, threatened to stop touring. And maybe he did officially, but he'll be back for a reunion tour. But if you are Elton John and you have performed the song Daniel, can you imagine how many times Elton John has performed Rocket Man or Crocodile Rock or one of those classic songs from the 70s? Okay. Do you think that Elton John is sick of performing some of those songs? Maybe not all of them, but maybe he kind of hates, there's one or two is damn it, if I have to perform another one of these, I'm going to go nuts. I'm going to go absolutely bonkers, right? And so that's a horrible British accent, by the way. But he does it anyway. And when you go to see Elton John in concert, does he, by the way, welcome Big Girl, Big Girl Panties, by the way, when Elton John performs that song, does he phone it in? Well, absolutely not. When you see Elton John perform all his greatest hits, he's performed thousands of times. Elton John, Bruce Springsteen, these classic artists that they're always, people always rave about, just what an amazing live performance that they do. They put their heart and soul into it. One concert, I'm not necessarily a Lynyrd Skynyrd fan, to be honest with you, but I gotta tell you that those guys put on one of the best live shows that I've ever seen. And I kid you not, it's because they performed with everything that they have. And so now, as an entrepreneur, what does this mean for you? As an entrepreneur, as someone who's looking to grow their visibility, you should be looking for every opportunity, every stage that you can, by the way, welcome Maria, to perform on. And sometimes, I do a lot of podcast interviews. So I've done well over 100 podcast interviews. All told, I've been in the media over 2,000 times. And every single time that I do, I have to bring my A game. And if I don't, then I'm going to suffer from that because you're only as good as your last performance. And I got to tell you that there's times that I've done some pretty small, the podcast host was pretty unprofessional. But I got to tell you, you're not necessarily doing it for the host. Okay. You're doing it for the audience or the potential audience. And so, for my CEO friends out there, for my business owner friends out there, again, if you're working to be visible, at some point you have to be a little bit, thank you so much, Tom. I appreciate it. Tom Drake on Facebook said, Josh is awesome at getting press and media. Thank you. So here's the deal. Again, you might have the opportunity to do a really small TV outlet or a really small podcast, but you should always bring your A game. And just know that, even if you're like, oh my gosh, this podcast host is driving me insane right now, right? And there are going to be some opportunities. It's okay. You still have to bring your A game every single time, right? And so, by the way, if you're feeling like, Josh, I don't even know that I have an A game. I'm kind of I can bring a C or a D game, because I've not been doing this very long. That's okay. Like if you want to feel really, really good about creating content and, making yourself visible, go find some big YouTubers and go watch their first few YouTubes. They are horrible, right? And I can tell you firsthand, like mine are terrible. Go listen to my first podcasts. They're horrible. And by the way, there are some really big podcasters out there. If you can go find like episode 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I've listened to some really big podcasts and it's really comforting to go and listen to some of those, that old content because it's not really great. One host in particular, I really appreciated because he's like, at some point you could tell like he's just getting so frustrated with himself that you hear him like sighing. Because he knows how bad that this is going. But he keeps at it anyway. And we had one client that, when he started a few years back at YouTube, doing YouTube videos, he was doing 3 YouTube videos a week. And, they were not good. And he had like next to no visibility, like no one was watching his videos. And even today, you can go back and you can look at them and they still have only had like just over like 100 views. But today, when you look at the kind of views that he gets on new videos now, he's doing hundreds of thousands of views every time he publishes a new video. And as a result, the dude is making tens of thousands of dollars in revenue as a result of his visibility. So how did he get there? Well, I'll tell you how he got there. And it's kind of like the 3,000 hours principle. And I see this consistently on social media because sometimes a lot of people will say, well, Josh, what social media platform should I be doing? Oh, Big Girls Panty Podcast is a podcaster. So good. So you get that impression. By the way, I'll tell you just because you know the one that, and I've told him this, it's Pat Flynn, who I respect so much in the podcasting space. And I really gained a lot of confidence to start podcasting myself because of Pat. But yeah, you can go back and listen to his first few episodes of Smart Passive Income. And there's some times where you're like, Pat, you're making me feel good, man. I can do this. And he'll tell you too that was absolutely the case for him. Again, you will get better as you do this more and more. So if you've ever considered doing live streaming, I got to tell you, like, I'm uncomfortable with this. I'm really, really uncomfortable with like leading up to doing this. I was feeling hesitant. I was like, oh my gosh, people are going to judge me. Someone's going to say something mean. I'm going to look like a dork, and so I'm going to tell you that the antidote to that fear. And that fear is going to rob you from so much opportunity. Your audience just wants to know you. And if you feel like you don't have a big audience, you will grow that big audience. Okay. We've seen this consistently with a lot of our clients is they just do the deal. No one shows up, but they keep on doing it. And here's the thing. Okay, what I don't want you to do, here's the worst thing you could do, is that you could, well, this wouldn't be the worst thing because it helps you understand what you really enjoy. You should pick a social media platform. Oh, inspire and change me. Can I read this? This is great. Laugh out loud. This is true. The first live streaming may not be great, but you get better as you do it, as you keep showing up. It's absolutely true. So, here's the thing. So I've spoken to Ad Social Media Marketing World a couple years now, which I love that conference, and tickets are on sale for that show now. And I would absolutely recommend if you're really into growing your business using social media, it's a great show to attend. Because a lot of the speakers go pretty deep. They don't teach the Mickey Mouse stuff there. They really get very, very tactical. But what I wanted to share with you is that if you want to go viral, if you want to make it really big, if you want to build a big audience, and by the way, don't necessarily do what I do what I say. But what I want to tell you is best practices is that you need to pick a platform and then you stick with it for like 60 days minimum. So if YouTube is your thing, go for it. All right. And I want you to follow people like Daryl Eves, video creators, Tom Schmoyer. There's some other really great YouTubers that will teach you how to become really, really great at YouTube. And what I want you to do is I want you to obsess on that one thing. Okay. Don't worry about being everywhere. Okay. You don't necessarily need to be on Snapchat. You don't necessarily need to be on Twitter. Okay. In terms of like, where are you going to grow your audience? But what I want you to do is I want you to pick one and I want you to obsess on that one thing. And you know what's going to happen? Everybody quits this too soon. But I want you to keep going when everybody else goes on the wayside. It's why diets, right? And so how did I lose the 20 pounds just now doing my keto program? It's because I stuck with it for a long period of time. And by the way, it's not just keto, it's keto intermittent fasting. And I've lost 60 pounds before. And that did not happen in 30 days. And there were days when I felt frustrated and I wanted to throw in the towel, but I kept at it. So similarly, as you're building an audience on social media, I promise you there's going to be days where you'll be like, okay, nobody showed up. Nobody watched this. I feel like a fool right now. But you got to keep doing it. You just keep on doing it. Keep on producing the podcast. Listeners will show up. You keep on doing it. You keep on collaborating with other social media people. You find ways to serve others who have larger stages and larger audiences than you. And you try to find ways to make them look good, which is a great ninja hack for how to attract new listeners. And I can do I'll do a whole separate training all about like how to work with influencers, but that's just like a little sneak preview of that. All right. So there you go. Last thing I wanted to talk about always showing up and, making sure that you're bringing your A game has to do with your branding. And so if you're on social media, you're on LinkedIn, you're on Twitter, you're on Facebook, you're on Instagram, it's really critical that you invest, appropriately into your imagery. So, for your headshot that you use on all your social media, you're using it on your bio, your press kit on your website, etc. Okay, don't go cheap on this, please. Don't use a picture of you at a New Year's Eve party holding a cat on your head, drinking a margarita and, it's all blurry and fuzzy and you got red eye. Okay, that is not the picture to use. Okay, and here's the thing. You might also feel pressure. We just had this conversation, in fact, I got some laughs on that one. You might feel the pressure to change up your headshot because you've had it for more than a year. And you're like, man, I just like to keep it fresh. I like to change up my headshot every 30 days. And I'll answer that in just a second, Inspire and Change, Change Me. So don't worry. It's like for those who show up to the Elton John concert and they want to hear Daniel, okay? They didn't hear it the past 100 times that you performed it. Probably, okay? So when I go and I do podcast interviews, I will say a lot of the same stuff over and over and over again. I mean, are you kidding? With Savings Angel, my other company, as many times as I've been on TV, I mean, I cannot tell you the number of times I've said the exact same thing about couponing. Okay. It's in my wheelhouse. And so, you'll see this like when actors are promoting a movie and they go out on the media tour, you'll see them say the exact same thing. It's the exact same questions. It's the exact same answers. And they say it and do over and over and over and over again. Okay. Does it make you want to pluck out your eyes and ears? Yeah. And pull off your ears? Yes, it does. But you have to do it anyway. So on the thing with your headshot, okay, you don't need to change it every day. Okay. Maybe if you got, some sort of special thing and you've got, you've really got your audience built and that sort of thing. And you use that as a means of communicating to your tribe, that's fine. All right. But generally, you want to pick your best headshot and you want that same headshot to be everywhere. Okay. You want calls to action to be consistent. Okay. You want your logo to be appropriately placed where it would be placed. You want to optimize your social media profiles, including your personal Facebook profile, like all this stuff. Okay. This is what we call brand integrity. And we could do a whole nother video all about branding. Okay. But just to suffice to say, go get a darn good headshot and then use it everywhere. Even if you're like, oh, I'm so sick of that, same picture. It's okay. It's okay. Like we just had an internal conversation about this, about like, Josh, you've been using the same headshot for like 6 months. I'm like, yeah, I know. It works. It's a good headshot. And you can see, by the way, you look at my social media profiles, you see exactly what the headshot is, right? It's good for now. All right. Now, should you use the same headshot that you used 10 years ago because you felt like you looked a lot better? I don't think so. I think you should you should show a little bit of integrity. And so go ahead and use go ahead and update this. Yeah, I just got a heart for that. Go ahead and update that, every 2 years is generally that's a good pace. And so that should give you motivation, by the way. If you're like, I've put on a few pounds over the past couple of years. Great. There's good motivation because you know that those headshots are coming up in, April or May of next year. So maybe now's the time, join me. Like I'm always doing something to, try to keep healthier and, always wanting to make sure that, what I communicate externally matches, my message internally. So we're in integrity. And listen, I used to be a heavy dude. I was pushing way over 230 and for my height, not real good. And so, he was creating some success with Savings Angel. We were starting to approach that seven figure a year territory. And you know what? I was representing a brand that I'm like, man, if I'm telling people to shop using coupons and to make your buying decisions in the grocery store and I'm showing up and I'm not representing, a good vision. And again, this is only Josh talking to myself. Okay. And so you can have your own conversation with yourself and whatever that is. So I just want you to know this has anything to do with me looking at other people and making a judgment on that. But I can tell you that what I have seen consistently is that, based on stupid YouTube comments and other stuff, I was absolutely getting some, super judgment. And people do that. And we could, by the way, we'll do a whole video about the psychology of your presence and judgment and why it matters. And this gets into whole like media training and stuff. There's some things you can't change. Like I'm not going to be an ultra attractive dude. Like I got a weird big forehead and, my emotion, I'm a little too, hyper at times. There's just some things that I can't change. All right. So it is what it is. But for the things that I can change, you can do that and you can always improve and you can always get better. Anyway, so there you go. There's a bunch of stuff. Oh, live streaming. So here's the thing. You need to commit when it comes to consistency. Commit to something that you know that you can do, right? And so if you're talking about building up an audience base, you want to be reliable. So for podcasting, generally the norm is weekly, but you don't have to. If you want to do a daily show, you're welcome to. If you want to do a monthly program, you're welcome to do that too. Okay. And live streaming, it really varies. So what I want you to do is just like when I say, pick your social media platform, you have to pick the consistency that is going to work for you. What can you commit to? Because what I want you to do then is I want you to communicate that to your audience. And I want you to say, look, every Thursday, I'm going to be here. So that being said, Instagram, come on. So my Instagram peeps, I promise I'm going to get much better. And, at the very least, I'm planning on doing something live or posting video on a weekly basis. And so, I like weekly, but I know that there are some people that they do love doing daily, 3 times a week. Listen, you got to do what you're going to commit to and what your audience can come to expect, and that you could develop and serve that relationship. Patty Elise, boy, do I appreciate you. Consistency all across the board with your brand image on all social media platforms to avoid confusion. And so consistency is really honestly, it's the secret sauce to success with social media, with branding, with traditional media, with building your visibility, with building this authority. And guys, we'll talk all about in a future video about why authority is so critical. It is the magic wand that can bring you almost anything that you want in business and beyond. So there you go. Guys, thank you so much. Thank you to my Facebook peeps. Thank you so much to my Instagram peeps. Instagram, I got you. I got you. Listen, we've got over 10,000, we've got about 10,000 fans on the Instagram. So I know I have a moral obligation to bring more value to you guys. So, guys, thank you so much for tuning in, either live or on demand. If you want to go back and look at our archives, you can join our Facebook group or our Facebook page. And we've got probably about 20-ish videos where I cover specific topics, and it's all about helping you increase your visibility, your authority, your influence, so that you can have a bigger impact in the world. We fundamentally believe that everybody has a message that can positively impact the world. And the bigger you can grow your audience, the more stages you can get on, the more impact that you can have in the world, and the more change that you can make in the world. And of course, the more success that you'll have in business, both with, growing your operation and growing your income. So with that, guys, thank you so much for watching, and I look forward to chiming in. Thank you so much, Patty Elise. I'll jump in afterwards and comment, and anybody that has made some comments below. So thank you guys so much. Have a great day. All right. So end